So my sparge water, I don't know if you could see it for a second, it's like almost about 180 degrees on an instant read thermometer. And since it's going to cool down, once it hits the cooler, we're going to sparge. Like, the water's about 180 degrees right now. That's 4 gallons. And temperature is dropping from the mash to 149. But I kept it pretty much within the hour, up and down between 150 to 160 degrees by turning it on and off the stove. So what I'm going to do is actually lift up all this grain in the bag and then put it into this cooler here. And I preheated the cooler with about a gallon of just hot tap water just to kind of get it warmed up. I'm going to drain that out and then pull that bag of grain out and put it into there, and I'm going to do what's called a batch sparge, and I'll explain that in just a moment. I'll have to pull everything over there and show you after a moment. So I pulled the bag of grain out of my mash, and this is left. So this is malt extract, the same as you buy in a store, a little bit less concentrated, but this is the art of mashing. And what I'm going to do now is pull up some of this 180 degree water and come over to here to my, you can see I have my grain bag in there. I'm just going to pour the water over it. And like I said, the idea of sparging is to rinse. The idea of sparging is to rinse all the grain to get every little bit of that fermentable sugar to kind of rinse off. That's actually what sparging means, is to rinse. And batch sparging is what I'm doing now. It's kind of like putting everything in one big giant vessel and rinsing it in about, I'm going to do it in like about 2 stages. I'm going to put about enough water to kind of like cover all the grain here. So I'm going to batch sparge in about like 2 sessions. One enough to this kind of like let the grain kind of put the lid on there. And so the idea is to do it in about 2 sessions, I would say, because if you fill the whole, take all your 4 gallons of water and you put it into your sparge little tank here, you're not going to get all the sugar at one shot, because it'll reach an equilibrium of the amount of water you have in there in one flush as opposed to 2. So you're better off just doing it in like about a 2-stage sparge. And I just happen to have a cooler that has that fits like the fitting for the brew bucket, and I just found like a little coupler thing that fit right to it, so it's kind of nice. And the idea is to do it slowly. So what I'll do is I'll kind of let that set in there just for about like 10 minutes or so, and I'll slowly start to kind of like release all the sparge water into these gallon jug. And when I get my 4 gallon, that'll be my 6 gallon to do my boil with. And I'm actually doing a double boil here. I'm actually doing one in my sparge container that I boiled, or I heated up this water for the sparge of 4 gallons, which I'm going to need. And then this is my original brew kettle, which I did the mash in, which has the initial mash, which is now a malt extract. And I'm just going to keep that in there, and I'm going to add another 2 gallons of sparged wort from there into there. And then once that's full, I will start boiling that. Then I will boil this container, which will be full of about another 3 gallon. So here I'm slowly sparging the grain in my bag. I put about 3 gallons of maybe 2 gallons actually of water in here to sparge, and I'm kind of heating this up for the second rinse. Just kind of, you just want to kind of like slowly let it drain through the bag, and or however your other means are, but you just kind of want to let it slowly hit into your bottle and do this like a slow procedure. And once I get maybe 2 gallons out of this sparge, I'm going to dump it in my original boil kettle that still has about a gallon of the original malt extract that I made from the mash. And I'll start boiling that, then I'll dump in an additional amount of water that will make up my 4 gallons that I initially had for the actual sparge water, and I will boil that as soon as I extract the rest of that from the grain. So I'm going to go ahead and let this kind of slowly drain. So I sparged out about 3 gallons into the first kettle here, so I'm going to bring that to the boil, and I'm going to add half the hops for the boil, which is about 8 ounces to this kettle, and I add another 8 ounces to the second kettle once I've sparged out another about 3 gallons. Like I said, these are wet hops right from Sierra. I picked them myself. They're a Chinook. So the boil, we're going to put 8 ounces in on each kettle. The boil is basically, you're going to get all your bitterness, and at the end, after I've boiled them for about an hour, then we'll add a second addition for aroma, because after you boil the hops for like an hour, there's not much aroma left. You just get that bitterness. And the big thing about whole hops and pelletized hops, I think the difference is that whole hops, you get a more floral kind of much more flavor, I think, than straight bitterness of the pelletized hops. And these are actual wet hops, like I said, so they'll get like a more dank, musty kind of sweetness. So we'll see how they turn out. Next, about the sparge, I dumped the rest of the water, which is about another 3 gallons for the second batch sparge to rinse. And it'll be a little bit lighter than your first batch because it's already, you know, gotten most of the extract out. So stay tuned and have a beer.